Hey, this is Chris Jericho of Duran Duran, and if you're not in the now, you're in the nothing.
What's up in the now, friends and family? Sitting here with Chris Jericho of Fozzy over here at the Chameleon Room in Oklahoma City. Just going to talk about a little bit about the tour that you guys are on right now. So still on the Sin and Bones tour, from what I understand.
Yeah, we started when the record came out last August, and we've done, I think, 17 countries now, over 100 shows. And anytime you get into the triple digits, when it comes to doing concerts for a record, you know it's been a successful run. So one of the things we really wanted to focus on this tour was doing more shows in the U.S. We've always done a lot of shows overseas. UK has always been our biggest and best market. But we wanted to do more in the States because the States is where we always sell the most records, but we'd never done real coast-to-coast tour over here. So we started last year on the Uproar tour with Shinedown and Godsmack. It was amazing, 30 gigs across the country. Then we went back overseas, Australia and England and UK and blah, 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 blah. We wanted to kind of, as this tour starts to wind down a bit, we wanted to do another full States run. And this came up to do the tour with Saxon, which was a great idea, great opportunity. And it's been a great tour so far. We're about halfway through, and it's been a lot of fun, man. It's great crowds, learning a lot from Saxon. We get along really well, and it's a good mix, too, because you have a lot of Saxon fans that show up that don't know Fozzy, a lot of Fozzy fans that show up that don't know Saxon, but they leave at the end of the night as fans of both, and that's what you want, which is why this is a great package for us and for them.
That's awesome, and it looks like you guys are keeping busy by going out west, I think, after here, and then ending up in Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So for the rest of 2014, for this fall and winter season here that we're upon, are you going to finish out, like you said, with the U.S. tours? Are you going to hit any festivals shortly after that?
We finish October 18th in Atlanta.
Okay.
We started September 12th in Long Island, so they'll basically be 5 weeks. And then we'll have a few weeks off where we're starting to write the new record. We already know exactly when it's coming out next June, according to if everything goes to plan.
Okay.
And then I think we're going to finish off this tour, the Sin and Bones tour, in Australia. Again, we went there in February, and we just got invited back to do another run of shows in December. So it'll be a really good kind of way to cap it off, unless other stuff always kind of comes up in the meantime. But for now, the idea is to finish this up in December and then really start putting the nose to the grindstone to have the record done in the first quarter of 2014.
Well, that's awesome. And speaking of the new record, I mean, here you are coming off of Sin and Bones, like you said, after the past year, and now working with Century Media. What's that experience like, working with Century Media, for example?
Well, it's been great. I mean, it's the biggest record company we've ever been involved with. And our last record, Chasing the Grail, we did a lot of touring on that and got a lot of headway, sold a lot of records, and then that kind of put us in Century Media's wheelhouse. So when we got the chance to start working with them, it was kind of, it was a big opportunity for us, but also a lot of pressure because, you're kind of in the big leagues, so you really have to deliver. So we had kind of built up everything to where we really had a good spotlight and a real buzz going on. So we knew if we could put out like the best record that we'd ever done, combined with being on Century Media, that it would take us to the different level, which it really has. We put a lot of time into Sin and Bones and made sure it was the exact record we wanted to make. And then when it came out, you never know for sure. For us, we knew it was our best, but what are the fans going to think? What are the other people going to think? And best critically acclaimed, best reviewed, highest selling, highest charting, all that sort of stuff. So it really was a huge success.
Yeah, it says it all right there.
Yeah.
I mean, coming from almost a decade since Happenstance, if you think about it, we're talking a good bit, and here you are with a lot of original material, and it's being well received. Another thing I was going to ask is, with this new album, can we expect more collaborations possibly? Such as the folks you've worked with in the past, like M. Shadows from Avenged Sevenfold, or Zakk Wylde, and past collaborations. Can we see some of that?
Yeah, we've always had a great collection of collaborators. As you mentioned, Shadows and Zakk. Phil Campbell played on this record from Motorhead, and Marty Friedman has played in the past, and Miles Kennedy, and Mark Tremonti, and we don't ever sit down and say, here's the list of guys that we want to work with. Right. It's more depending on the song. And if the song is finished, and like, for example, with Sandpaper, I didn't like the way the vocals sounded from me. Not that I didn't sing it right, but just didn't like my voice with this part. So that's why I thought Matt would be perfect for it. And,
interesting. Yeah.
Phil's work with Motorhead, very aggressive, bluesy music, and that's what She's My Addiction was, which is why I thought he'd be great for that. So definitely open to collaborations. To have to kind of see where the songs take us first.
No, that's a great answer there. So, and as you're saying, you're going out to Australia, and I think, would it be for Soundwave, I think it is, or any of those?
We did Soundwave in February.
Wow.
This will just be our own tour, and maybe hooking up with another big band to go out with a bigger band.
And then do you see yourselves returning to maybe Europe, like Download again, like you said?
Well, that would be the idea. I mean, we haven't have anything planned, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we kind of kick off the next record by starting out at Download. The record would come out right around the same time as Download starts.
What a perfect timing.
Together. Yeah,
that would be absolutely perfect.
Kind of doing that on purpose. So
yeah.
Fingers crossed once again.
Was there last year? You guys were rocking the main stage. Same day as Metallica, so had to slide over from you to get to Metallica. So nothing personal, but
no, that
had to get up in the front spot there.
It was a great day for us because our set was very early in the day. It was like noon. It was. And the band before us probably had, no exaggeration, I don't know, 1,000 people. And so sometimes you're like, it's just going to be one of those gigs. Sometimes people don't show up. I went and warmed up. I came back on stage 30 minutes later, and this is no word of exaggeration of a lie. There's 35,000 people there. I don't know where they came from in that short of a time. And then after us, for the next band, there was about 18,000 people. So they came specifically to see us, and it was a great day because to be on that early, we really turned some heads to have that many people show up.
It's an amazing crowd, isn't it?
It's a great crowd. We love playing in England.
That's awesome, yeah. And like you said, you're well received there as well as here. So that's that leads into, like you're talking about the schedule from 2013 to 2014. What do you find that you could do in your downtime, if you have any such a thing? Do you have any opportunities to go into some of your other entrepreneurial type aspects? I know for a brief bit you used to do some TV spots here and there. Dancing with the Stars, of course. That kind of thing.
I mean, obviously. I don't wrestle as much anymore because it's all based around what's going on with Fozzy.
Of course.
And that's the same with all the other projects that I have. Usually pretty busy. Usually stuff comes up, and that's why you just kind of have to go with the flow. And it's hard to kind of plan out things too much because things pop up almost last minute sometimes. My biggest hobby is just hanging out with my family, hanging out with my kids at home. And this tour, the cool thing about touring in the States is if you have a day off, you can fly home. It's not too far.
Yeah.
In England, you can't do that. So this tour, we've had 4 days off so far, maybe 5, and I think I went home for 4 of them, which is great. I mean, sometimes a day is perfect. You just to get home and get in front of your kids and put them to bed and wake up with them in the morning, and that's kind of the most important thing. So that's kind of what I like to do on my time off.
No, that's awesome. I don't blame you. I mean, that's what we all do, don't we?
Yeah.
Just got to find the time to diffuse.
Exactly.
Do you find yourselves and the rest of the members of Fozzy, like I know the majority of them are out of Atlanta, I think, still.
Yeah.
I believe so. And you're still a Florida.
Yeah. Paulie's from New Jersey, so that's
it's my home state.
All right.
Yeah. But so do you find you guys kind of just spread out to the 4 winds, even though you're doing the family thing?
That's the way it always goes. I think most bands are like that. You spend so much time together. When you get home, you just kind of go do your own thing and go take care of all your business and all the things you have to take care of. Obviously, since we're getting ready to go into recording mode, I'll be seeing a lot more of the guys, and we're really exchanging ideas back and forth at this point. But in this day and age, you can mostly do that just online. You don't even have to really talk to anybody. But I mean, this really is your second family, and that's why you have to have a really good crew of guys with you when you go on tour, and we have that, so it's been great.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Chris, I'm going to switch gears here a bit. Obviously, Fozzy started out as almost like a tribute to a lot of other rock bands that were influences to yourself and Rich and some of the other members. I'm sure you've been asked this many times, but it's always interesting to hear what folks' interests are when it comes to this subject. Who would you say is your greatest influence? One of the top 3, if I were to ask you. Greatest influences.
Musically? I mean, the Beatles are my favorite band of all time.
Excellent. Okay, yeah.
Pretty much the influential band. And I love Metallica and I love Maiden. I mean, those are kind of my 3 favorite bands. You throw in the Stones, throw in the Police, throw in Halloween.
Oh, Halloween! There you
love
go.
Them. Yeah,
wow,
but we have
awesome.
varied interests as far as other bands in this, as far as influences for our band. And that we love the heavy bands, not just older ones, but we also love, Avenged Sevenfold and Bullet for My Valentine and bands like that. But also too, I think the difference for us is we really like the bands from the 70s where everybody in the band sang, like Foreigner and Styx and Journey and Queen, and it's kind of become a lost art in rock and roll, and that's why we love the fact, and also work very hard to get 3-part harmonies, 4-part harmonies in our band where all of us sing.
Right.
So that's kind of, I think, we're really focused in and figured out who we are as a band, which is very heavy riffs, and very melodic choruses with a lot of harmonies.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that kind of gives us a little bit of a niche that's a little bit different from a lot of the other bands. And I think it's what's given us the foothold to get to the next level like we have. So now that we took a couple albums to really focus in on what we do best, but now that we know that's the Fozzy sound, we're really kind of going full bore into that for this next record.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, like you said, it's a niche, you know, harmony.
Yeah,
like
you
that
gotta have.
Lost on,
every
on
band has to have their own style, and for us, it's like we like that sound. You know, you take away the music and the double kick, and it should be just 2 or 3 doo-wop guys sitting in a corner, snapping their fingers, singing it. If you can get that vibe, then you know the song's going to turn out great.
No, that explains it very, very well. No, that's awesome, Chris. Thanks so much. Lastly, if I were to ask you, say, what was the last song you heard just before coming here, or if you were just on the bus, tour bus kind of thing, like what was the last track you heard, whether it's your own MP3 player or what?
What was I listening to? I was just doing some writing, listening to some music, and
sorry to put you on the spot. Usually,
no, I'm just trying to remember exactly what song was on there. I had I'm Not in Love by 10cc, like this really weird spacey 70s song, and then followed that up by Payback by Slayer. Nice. So I'm the only guy in the world that maybe has Slayer and 10cc on my shuffle.
There you go. That's awesome. That's awesome. No, that's well said. Well, Chris, thanks so much for taking the time with In the Now, hanging out here, and looking forward to the set here shortly up on the Chameleon Room.
Excellent. Yes. Yeah. And remember, if you're not in the now, you're in the nothing as a fly buzzes around.
Oh, it's all right.
Yes,
it's
that fly is not in the now.
He is not.
That fly is in the nothing. Don't be like that fly.
You heard it here first. Chris Jericho, Shabby, In the Now. We'll see you. Three, 2, 1, and...
Hey, this is MC Hammer, and if you're not living in the now, you're living in the nothing.